Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something powerful right now. When was the last time you truly decided to rise? Not wish, not hope, decide. Because today isn't just another replay. This is your wake-up call. This is your moment. Welcome to the Time to Rise Summit 2026 Bonus Day Replay, where ordinary thinking ends and extraordinary action begins. Right now, pause for just a second and ask yourself a serious question. Who are you deciding to become today? Not tomorrow, not when things feel easier, today, because everything in your life shifts the moment you stop drifting and start deciding. Most people live in reaction mode, letting circumstances dictate their future. They wait for confidence before acting, motivation before moving, and certainty before committing. But high performers understand something different. Clarity comes after action, not before it. The most successful people on the planet didn't wait for perfect conditions. They made a decision, drew a line in the sand, and stepped forward even while shaking. Here's the hook that changes everything. Your future doesn't require permission. It requires commitment. A real decision is not something you think about. It's something you embody. When you decide who you become, your posture changes, your voice changes, your standards change. Suddenly, excuses lose their power. Suddenly, distractions fade. Suddenly, you start showing up differently in rooms you once felt small in. That's not coincidence, that's identity shift. Most people underestimate the power of one moment of absolute clarity. One decision can redirect your career, heal relationships, transform your finances, and rebuild your confidence, but only if it's backed by action. Desire without discipline is just a daydream. Hope without habits leads nowhere. The truth is, your life today is the result of decisions you made yesterday. And your life tomorrow will be shaped by what you choose right now. Let me challenge you with something uncomfortable. If nothing changes, nothing changes. You can't keep negotiating with your old patterns and expect a new future. Growth begins when comfort ends. That's where leaders are born. That's where breakthroughs happen. The moment you stop asking, can I, and start declaring, I will, everything shifts. Energy follows decision. Momentum follows commitment. And here's what separates champions from spectators. Champions decide first and figure it out later. They don't wait to feel ready. They build readiness through action. They don't let fear sit in the driver's seat. They acknowledge it, thank it, and move forward anyway. Every powerful life begins with a powerful choice. To rise, to grow, to demand more from yourself than the world ever will. So decide today that you're done playing small. Decide that your past no longer gets to vote on your future. Decide that you are stepping into a higher standard of discipline, focus, and courage. Because once you decide who you become, your actions align, your confidence expands, and opportunities appear where none existed before. This is your moment to stop surviving and start leading your life with intention. Let me hit you with a truth that can reshape your entire life. Your results are not determined by your potential. They're determined by your standards, not what you want, not what you hope for, what you demand of yourself every single day. Most people don't lack ability. They lack expectations. They settle for what's convenient instead of committing to what's possible. And here's the hook. Life will never rise above the standards you set. It always meets you exactly where you decide to live. Think about it. Two people can have the same resources, the same education, the same opportunities, and end up in completely different places. Why? Standards. One accepts average, the other refuses it. One tolerates excuses, the other requires excellence. Your standards shape your identity, your habits, your relationships, and ultimately your destiny. You don't get what you deserve in life, you get what you tolerate. Most people are operating on unconscious standards. They tolerate being late. They tolerate low energy. They tolerate toxic relationships. They tolerate financial stress. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But the moment you consciously raise your standards, everything begins to shift. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop making excuses for behavior that keeps you small. You start asking better questions. You start moving with purpose. You stop saying, I'll try, and start declaring, this is who I am now. Here's the hook that separates high performers from everyone else. They don't wait for motivation. They live by standards. Motivation fades, discipline lasts. When your standards are high, you don't need willpower. You don't need reminders. You don't need someone pushing you. Your identity does the work for you. You train yourself to show up strong, focused, and committed even on days you don't feel like it. Raising your standards means deciding that average is no longer acceptable. It means choosing growth over comfort. It means walking away from environments that drain you and stepping into circles that challenge you. It means upgrading how you speak, how you think, how you treat your body, how you manage your time, and how you honor your commitments. This is where transformation lives, not in big dramatic moments, but in small daily choices made at a higher level. Let me challenge you with this. What are you currently tolerating that's costing you your future? Because every time you accept less than you're capable of, you reinforce a lower identity. But every time you demand more from yourself, you expand what's possible. Raise your standards and your confidence grows. Raise your standards and your productivity explodes. Raise your standards and suddenly doors open that were invisible before. You don't wait for life to change. You become the person who forces change through higher expectations and relentless action. Let me give you something that can completely transform the direction of your life if you truly absorb it. Your mind is the control center of everything you experience. Every action you take, every emotion you feel, every result you create starts with a thought. And here's the hook. If you don't consciously direct your mind, it will run on old programs, past conditioning, and unconscious habits. Most people wake up already defeated because they let yesterday's doubts write today's story. High performers understand that mastery begins internally. They don't wait for the world to change. They change their inner dialogue first. The way you speak to yourself in quiet moments shapes your confidence more than any outside feedback ever could. If your inner voice is constantly telling you that you're not ready, not good enough, or not capable, your body follows that instruction. But the moment you shift that narrative, everything changes. Energy rises, focus sharpens, possibilities expand. Here's what separates leaders from followers. Leaders train their minds like athletes train their bodies. They feed it empowering questions instead of limiting statements. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? They ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of saying, I can, they say, how can I? That single shift turns obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into setups for growth. Let me challenge you with a powerful truth. Your emotions are signals, not commands. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you stop. Just because you feel uncertain doesn't mean you quit. Feelings are temporary, but decisions create permanence. When you learn to manage your emotional state, you gain access to your full potential. You can walk into rooms with confidence. You can speak with clarity. You can take action even when comfort disappears. And here's the hook most people miss. Your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it. If you rehearse fear, you become fearful. If you rehearse gratitude, you become grounded. If you rehearse strength, you become unstoppable. Every day, you are conditioning yourself either toward success or toward limitation. There is no neutral. Your habits of thought are building your future right now. Mastering your mind also means guarding what you allow in. The conversations you entertain, the content you consume, the people you surround yourself with, they all shape your mental environment. You cannot expect elite results while feeding your mind. Average input. Growth requires intention. It requires discipline. It requires choosing thoughts that serve your goals instead of sabotage them. So decide today that your mind works for you, not against you. Refuse to let doubt sit in the driver's seat. Replace negative patterns with empowering beliefs. Speak to yourself like someone you're responsible for becoming, because when you master your mind, you master your direction. And once your inner world aligns with your vision, your outer world has no choice but to follow. Let me reframe something for you that most people misunderstand. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal. It's your nervous system waking up, your growth edge calling your name. And here's the hook most people miss. The size of your fear is often equal to the size of your next breakthrough. Every meaningful leap in life lives on the other side of discomfort, yet most people spend their entire lives running from the very feeling that could elevate them. Fear shows up when you're about to expand. It appears when you're stepping into something unfamiliar, something bigger than your current identity. But instead of seeing fear as feedback, people treat it like a verdict. They assume it means danger, failure, or rejection. High performers think differently. They see fear as energy, raw, powerful energy that can either paralyze you or propel you forward. The difference lies in how you use it. Here's the truth. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move anyway. You don't wait until fear disappears. You act while it's present, and every time you do, your confidence grows. Your resilience strengthens, your self-respect deepens, The moment you lean into fear instead of backing away, you take control of your internal state. You shift from victim to leader. Let me challenge you with this hook. Fear only has power when you give it meaning. You decide whether it represents danger or opportunity. Most people let fear tell stories about what might go wrong. Elite performers ask, what if this works? That single question changes your posture, your tone, your actions. Suddenly your focus moves from protection to possibility. Fear becomes fuel when you attach it to purpose. When you connect your actions to something bigger than yourself, your family, your mission, your future, fear loses its grip. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I don't try? That shift activates something deeper than motivation. It activates identity. You begin to operate from who you are becoming, not who you've been. Every successful person you admire has walked straight through fear. They felt uncertainty. They faced rejection. They battled doubt, but they used those emotions as momentum. They let fear sharpen their focus, strengthen their preparation, and ignite their drive. They didn't allow it to shrink their world. They used it to expand it. And here's the final hook. The life you want is on the other side of the fear you're avoiding. Every time you choose courage, you rewire your brain for growth. Every time you step forward, despite discomfort, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your emotions. Fear becomes your teacher, your training ground, your signal that you're evolving. When you stop running from fear and start running with it, you unlock a level of power, clarity, and confidence that most people never experience. Let me give you a reality check that separates dreamers from achievers. Action is the bridge between intention and results. You can read every book, attend every seminar, and write down every goal. But without consistent execution, nothing changes. Here's the hook most people don't want to hear. Clarity comes from action, not from thinking. You don't wait to feel ready. You move and readiness follows. Most people confuse motion with progress. They stay busy, they plan, they organize, they talk, but they don't execute at a level that creates momentum. High performers operate differently. They take massive, focused action even when conditions aren't perfect. They understand that imperfect action beats perfect intention every single time. They don't sit around waiting for competence to arrive. They build confidence by keeping promises to themselves through daily action. Let me challenge you with something powerful. Success is built in ordinary days, not extraordinary moments. It's the small decisions repeated consistently that compound into massive results. Showing up when you don't feel like it, making the call you've been avoiding, taking the step that feels uncomfortable. That's where growth lives. Discipline is not punishment, it's self-respect. In motion, here's another hook. Motivation is unreliable, but commitment is unstoppable. If you only act when you feel inspired, you'll stay stuck in cycles. Elite performers create systems, routines, and habits that carry them forward even when energy is low. They understand that progress doesn't require perfection, it requires persistence. Every action you take sends a message to your nervous system, I am someone who follows through. Massive action doesn't mean reckless movement. It means intentional execution aligned with your goals. It means prioritize high-impact activities instead of getting lost in distractions. It means tracking results, adjusting strategy, and staying emotionally engaged with your vision. When you act with clarity and consistency, momentum becomes your ally. One step leads to another. One win creates belief. Belief fuels better action. Let me give you a truth that can transform your productivity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Your daily behaviors determine your long-term outcomes. If you want a different life, you need different rituals, different morning routines, different conversations, different standards around your time and energy. Every day you delay is a vote for the life you don't want. Every day you act is a vote for the future you're building. Action creates evidence, and evidence builds identity. When you repeatedly prove to yourself that you move forward, no matter what, you become unstoppable. You stop negotiating with excuses. You start operating with urgency. Momentum takes over. Confidence multiplies. And suddenly the impossible begins to feel inevitable. Let me shift your perspective with something most people overlook. Real success is not measured by what you accumulate. It's measured by who you become and how many lives you elevate along the way. Here's the hook that changes everything. Achievement without contribution feels empty, but growth combined with impact creates fulfillment that lasts. The highest performers don't just chase personal wins. They build legacies through service, leadership, and influence. When you decide to become someone who creates impact, your priorities change. You stop thinking only about yourself and start thinking about value. How can I help? How can I solve problems? How can I lift others while I rise? That mindset immediately separates you from the crowd. Opportunities flow to people who add value. Trust follows those who lead with integrity. Influence grows when your actions consistently improve the lives of others. Let me challenge you with this. Every room you walk into is an opportunity to raise the energy. Every conversation is a chance to inspire. Every skill you develop becomes a tool to serve. Impact doesn't require fame or fortune. It requires intention. A kind word at the right moment can shift someone's entire day. A shared insight can spark a breakthrough. A courageous example can give others permission to rise. Here's another hook. People may forget what you say, but they never forget how you make them feel. That's leadership. That's influence. When you operate from authenticity and purpose, your presence alone becomes powerful. You begin to attract people who want to grow, collaborate, and create your standards. Elevate the environment around you. Your discipline inspires action. Your courage becomes contagious. Creating impact also means becoming emotionally strong. It means listening deeply, showing empathy, and standing firm in your values, even when it's uncomfortable. It means being the person who shows up consistently, who keeps promises, who brings solutions instead of complaints. True leaders don't wait for titles, they lead through example. They become the calm in chaos, the clarity in confusion, the strength when others feel uncertain. And here's what most people miss. The more you give, the more you grow. Contribution expands your perspective, service strengthens your character, helping others forces you to step beyond ego and into purpose. When you commit to making a difference, your own problems shrink, your confidence increases, your sense of meaning deepens. Let me challenge you with this. Every room you walk into is an opportunity to raise the energy. Every conversation is a chance to inspire. Every skill you develop becomes a tool to serve. Impact doesn't require fame or fortune. It requires intention. A kind word at the right moment can shift someone's entire day. A shared insight can spark a breakthrough. A courageous example can give others permission to rise. Here's another hook. People may forget what you say, but they never forget how you make them feel. That's leadership. That's influence. When you operate from authenticity and purpose, your presence alone becomes powerful. You begin to attract people who want to grow, collaborate, and create your standards. Elevate the environment around you. Your discipline inspires action. Your courage becomes contagious. Creating impact also means becoming emotionally strong. It means listening deeply, showing empathy, and standing firm in your values, even when it's uncomfortable. It means being the person who shows up consistently, who keeps promises, who brings solutions instead of complaints. True leaders don't wait for titles, they lead through example. They become the calm in chaos, the clarity in confusion, the strength when others feel uncertain. And here's what most people miss. The more you give, the more you grow. Contribution expands your perspective, service strengthens your character, helping others forces you to step beyond ego and into purpose. When you commit to making a difference, your own problems shrink, your confidence increases, your sense of meaning deepens. Every great movement started with one person deciding to be more, do more, and serve more. You don't need permission to become that person. Your influence begins with daily choices. How you treat people, how you show up, how you use your voice. When you dedicate yourself to creating impact, success becomes inevitable, relationships become richer, and your life takes on a level of meaning that no achievement alone could ever provide. Let me leave you with this. The greatest gift you can give the world is becoming the strongest version of yourself. Decide today that you will rise above fear, rise above doubt, and rise above limitations. Decide that 2026 will be the year you stop surviving and start thriving. And this is your time. This is your moment. This is your rise. Thank you, and I'll see you at the top.